usually if you're like in a group setting and the aim is to develop and become leadership development, there's usually like here's what you should develop and here's what a better leader does, and then there's like a thing you follow and practice and go for. Whereas when we're doing surrendered leadership, we're actually all being present together and seeing what's emerging. But even when stuff emerges, uh, it's not like say you're in the circle and you're like realizing you suppress your anger, and that like really kind of limits your power in a space. If you start to discover that in the moment, it's not like then, the leader comes along and says, right, this is how you own your anger. And right, you three come over here, help John own his anger. It's not like that at all. You've got to actually yourself create like how you're going to navigate this realization you're having that your anger's suppressed. And then you've got a whole journey around how am I, like, what do I do now that I've realized that? And that's another place where that kind of in like this trusting the inner process, trusting a collective is like quite core to the practice. Yeah. How does that land when you hear that?
Well, I do think there's something that you're speaking to there of like the continual challenge that people are faced with within surrendered leadership. There's a certain intensity that it brings that leads to a different kind of experience than a more formulaic or kind of leader driven experience. And that certainly challenges people and in general leads to a much richer and more powerful learning experience. I do think, I mean, I do spend quite a lot of time with people supporting them, integrating their anger in circles. So I do think there's a collective wisdom around these things that does get shared within circles, and we can help each other out a lot within them. And still, this constant exploration of emergence and like what's the next thing when we're present together does kind of call forth something continually for people. And that does remind me of how we used to train kids in tennis. There was a certain quality of relentlessness that we wanted to expose them to a lot, giving as seeing as like what they were going to have to face in a match, which was always going to be, yeah, tough things could get thrown at them. So it's like we definitely want to close down skills and focus on them to give like enough so that they can get success and traction and developing new skills. But as soon as that is done, we want to test them with it. We want to put them in a challenging environment so that they can learn to bring those skills under a more challenging environment. And that's certainly what people get a lot of in surrendered leadership.
Yeah. And that's where we're really getting into pedagogy now, where the more closed you make a skill. So let's say in tennis, it's like the player can't hit topspin on their backhand, and that's quite important if you're going to be a good player. But if you just keep putting them in a match situation, the pressure of the match, the competition often is too emotional, too intense for them that they will rely on the thing they've learned. So they won't try new skills in that environment. So it's too intense. And then you can go to the opposite end where you just throw them a really easy ball, and then it's very safe. Doesn't matter if hit the ball out, and then they can start to try new things and start to learn new skills. But if you keep just doing it really easy, then when they go back to a match, they can't handle the competition at all because they've just been getting easy balls. And in a competition, you never get easy balls because the other person's trying to make it difficult for you. And there's just so much happening in a match environment.
Yeah, and I guess this is where the thing I want to speak to try and make it more visible. The example in tennis coaching would be the coach just giving loads of instruction, telling the players exactly what to do. On Monday, we do forehands and we just tell them loads, really simple feeding, and it can look great. It's like, wow, look, the coach is telling them so many things. Their forehand's going great. The next day, we do backhand, the coach is telling them loads of things, and that's going great. But actually, when it comes to a match, which is the thing that people get judged on, or like in our case now, it's like how people are in their lives. If they've just had like all this cognitive information from a coach that might give them the sense, but they don't have much embodiment in the environment where they're actually being called to do it. So it's all very well having a forehand when it's just repeated, but in a match, you'll never have that many forehands in a row. You'll have to do a backhand, you have to do other things. So we always want to make it as realistic as possible for people. And we want to create environments where people learn things themselves. Because if they learn them themselves, then they're going to stick under pressure like they're owned. And they're going to, like, that's where we would see that happen in a match. So we actually want to create environments that might not look as good for learning, like to the outsider, then, oh, you're not telling them what to do. And like, this is complex, but actually the difference that would make once they get used to that kind of environment and they learn things for themselves, then they can just take that into the match court and have so much more success. And that's the idea with surrendered leadership, that it's, in general, it's closer to life. So if you can develop things in that arena in your life, it's going to be that much easier.
And as you start to share on this, I notice this, it's like a sense of aliveness comes into your voice, or like there's a bit of passion, maybe even a bit of like, I don't know, a bit of purpose or something like this. Yeah, this seems quite important for you personally.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's like I've done my 20,000 hours of practice with this. Like I've been creating learning environments, mainly in tennis and then now in surrendered leadership. But yeah, doing this for a long time with a lot of passion of like, how can people grow and develop the fastest? So, yeah, we 20, 30 years ago, we were looking at like, yeah, what are the different ways that we can do this? That like, we went super deep in creating the right environment for that. So that, and especially in the tennis center, where we wanted to show that more holistic methods that were better for families and better for kids, and had them developing themselves as people as well as players. We wanted to show that not only was better for people, that would produce more and better players. So we were looking for the edge everywhere. Like there's so much competition. We wanted to show that we could produce national champions through these methods. So it was like day after day after day, we were looking for like what can give that extra 2%. And we took that straight away into transformational connection and surrendered leadership. We'd already done that for decades, and we were like, right, okay, we're in a new arena that's actually more exciting to us now. It's not just about how you play tennis, it's about how you live the best life you possibly can. And what environments can we create that are conducive, and even like catalytic. I think that's a good word. It's like, it's not spoon-fed stuff. It's like, oh, you're coming into a transformational arena, which, yeah, is going to call all these different things forward. But then, wow, on the other side of that, and we get this a lot with people in SAS. It's like, by the end, they're like, God, I don't even remember where I was at the beginning. My whole life has changed now. It's like I'm not the thing that I wanted right at the beginning. Like I'm now in a totally different place. Like there's been a true transformation happens, and that process isn't always easy or smooth. But there is a lot of intentionality behind the environments that we create.